In this video, Simon Sinek discusses about politicians that advocate for a cause and a vision rather than just narrow-minded ideas are what we need to elect.
About the finite, the finite trend, the trend towards finite-mindedness in business over the past, 30, 40 years, you can show the exact same correlation in politics, where politics and politicians have become more short-term focused and more finite-minded as well. And just like in businesses, we've become more focused on the product rather than the vision, so too have politicians become more focused on a single issue or a single idea rather than the context within which that idea exists. I haven't, it's not that those ideas are right or wrong or good or bad. My question is, to what end? Like, what vision does that idea serve? Because the ideas that they propose are strategies. The strategies to get towards something. Get towards what? And what's missing from all of our politicians, and this is not a Republican or a Democrat thing, this has been for years. What's missing from all of our politicians is distant, idealized, sort of inspirational vision. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you could have listened to Ronald Reagan's inaugural address, or you could have listened to John F. Kennedy's inaugural address, and they both talked about world peace, peace on earth. Like, even saying those words now sounds ridiculous. But that's a wonderful thing to talk about the dream. I have a dream of a distant future that we should commit ourselves to work towards one slow step at a time. And I think what's missing from all of them is they're hoping to garner favor by people who like the one idea because it resonates with me, and they're trying to pick the idea that resonates with the most people so they can get elected. And it's not that the ideas are right or wrong, but I want to know to what end. What's the bigger...
What if our why scares us? And we fear that people won't see it. Do we abandon it or do we just go for it? Okay, so there's two thoughts there that are worth unpacking. Okay, if other people don't see it, okay, let's deal with that first, because I think that's a little simpler. If other people don't see it, then the question is, are we showing it, right? And so many of us, all of us, especially at various times, we're all lying, hiding, and faking at various points, right? Somebody asks a question that makes us uncomfortable in a public forum. Sometimes we agree to something. We say yes, even though it's not true, because we just don't want to embarrass ourselves. We're very often inauthentic. Plus, we live in an Instagram, Facebook, TikTokable world. We're all presenting ourselves and curating ourselves as how we want to be. So we're really good at showing people the kind of person we want to be. It's kind of ironic as well, if you think about relationships. We present ourselves as our best selves, but it's only really when our vulnerabilities and insecurities are revealed can love exist. That's that magical authenticity. So I would argue that if the world doesn't see who you are there ways that you can share it with the world in a way that is inspiring to them and authentic to you? How you show up, sometimes the clothes you wear, sometimes it's silly stuff. I would often wear brightly colored ties in college. I know, a little nerdy, but one, because it sort of was a reflection of my independence. I didn't dress like everyone else, but it also made people smile. I would catch them seeing my tie, and it would make them smile, and I liked that. And so there are lots of little things we can do personally to bring our why to life. Now, what I'm really interested in is what you said, Andrea, when you said, "What if our why scares us?" Now, if it's actually scary because it's dangerous or difficult, then maybe it's not fully our why. If it scares us, but because we are afraid that others will judge us for what it is, like, this is truly who I am, this is why I wake up out of bed every morning, then I think you have to go for it. Now, the question is, do you have to jump in the deep end? I think that's a question of your own risk tolerance. I think there's nothing wrong with wading into the water, starting in the shallow end. Think about it. Look what I do for a living. Inspire people that do the things that inspire them. Like, how corny and cheesy is that, right? Like, I'm fully aware of that. When I first started talking about it, people were like, well, that's cheesy. I'm like, I know. And so but I still would do it. And was it a jumping in the deep end? No. I would dip my toe and I would test things out, and I would try things out and I'd see how it was received. And sometimes it went well and sometimes it didn't go well. I was learning to swim with my why, as basically was my why floaties. I was wearing why floaties. That's what I was doing. So yeah, I think if it feels right, because that's the test of a why, does it feel right? Does it feel like who I am? Does it give you chills or goosebumps, or does it make you well up when you think about it? Does it excite you? then it's probably accurate. And yeah, then you're going to have to at least get in the shallow end. You dip your foot in and try using it at certain places. And as you get more comfortable, you'll learn to.
Politicians, according to Simon Sinek, have forgotten that their job is to serve the people, which is why the public is tired of them. He contends that politicians now prioritize their personal interests and the pursuit of power over the demands of people they are supposed to represent. Because they are more focused on their personal objectives and the agendas of their political parties, Sinek contends that politicians have lost touch with the constituents that are supposed to represent. As a result, people no longer have confidence or trust in the political process or in politicians in general. Politicians overemphasize on immediate objective and outcome is more of the primary cause of their disengagement from their mission. Instead of concentrating on the requirements of the nation and its residents over the long run, they are more preoccupied with winning the next election or appeasing their constituency in the short term. Politicians' increased focus on self-interest is another factor contributing to their disengagement from their mission. Instead of using their position to meet the needs of their citizens, they are more concerned with acquiring wealth and power for their own benefit. According to Sinek, politicians need to concentrate more on their mission and less on their own personal interests in order to recover the trust of the constituents they represent. This entails prioritizing the requirements of the nation and its people and focusing on long-term objectives rather than momentary advantages. Additionally, he thinks that politicians have to be more open and answerable to the constituents they represent. They must be willing to acknowledge their errors and be more forthright and honest about their choices and behaviors. This will promote confidence in the political process and in politicians. In conclusion, Simon Sinek makes the case that the reason why people are tired of politicians is that they have forgotten why they are in office. Instead of meeting the demands of the people they represent, they have been overly centered on passing trends and their own interests. Politicians must reclaim the trust of the people they represent by concentrating more on their mission, being more open and accountable, and pursuing long-term objectives that are advantageous to the nation and its people. Because of their own prejudices and constrained viewpoints, Simon Sinek contends that others frequently overlook or undervalue our potential. They might not see our special qualities and characteristics, or they might be swayed by their own preconceived beliefs about what we are capable of. According to Sinek, we shouldn't let other people's perspective limit our possibilities. Instead, even if others do not see our potential, we should concentrate on our own talents and abilities and try to achieve our goals. By surrounding ourselves with individuals who have faith in us and our abilities, one of the ways we can transcend the restrictions others set on us is through our social circle. We ought to look for mentors and counselors who can point out our abilities and direct us toward accomplishing our objectives. We can also concentrate on cultivating a growth mindset, which is the conviction that with commitment and effort, our skills and intelligence can be improved. This kind of thinking can enable us to overcome the constraints others place on us and realize our full potential. Focusing on and leveraging our abilities is another approach to get past the constraints others set on us. We should recognize the special skills and abilities we possess and try to maximize their potential. Even though others initially had doubts about our abilities, this can assist us in becoming authorities in our industry and succeeding. Sinek argues that rather than concentrating on the final result, we should emphasize the process of accomplishing our goals. We may go past the constraints others impose on us and succeed on our own terms by concentrating on the actions we must do to reach our objectives. Simon Sinek concludes by urging us not to let other people's perspective restrict our possibilities. We should put our attention on our own abilities and strengths, surround ourselves with positive influences, and work on adopting a growth mindset. We may go past the constraints others set on us and succeed on our own terms by concentrating on the process of reaching our goals and leveraging our strengths. Politicians and business have both shifted their attention to being more short-term oriented over the past 30 years. Politicians that advocate for a cause and a vision rather than just narrow-minded ideas are what we need to elect. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. For more videos, like these and please subscribe.